So, almost all signs point to the Chiefs keeping one player around, a player that is currently not a fan favorite due to underperforming so far since he's been in Kansas City, and in this video I'll explain not only who that is, but why he's most likely making the 53-man roster. I've also got to talk about the last training camp practice taking place today and who to expect to not see out on the field in the Chiefs' second preseason game. But first, how about those... Alright, believe it or not, but training camp is officially over. And it seemed like it lasted forever, but at the same time went very quickly. Kind of weird how that works, but that means real football is very close. First, though, is a couple preseason games left on the Chiefs' schedule. The first one is this Saturday at 3 p.m. Central against the Lions, and then their final preseason game is next Thursday, the evening of August 22nd against the Bears. Then, just 2 weeks from the final preseason game is the season opener against the Ravens. We are this close, ladies and gentlemen, just 3 weeks away from this very day, which is pretty crazy. However, before we get to the regular season, the team will have to get this 90-man roster down to 53, which will be decided on August 27th. That's going to be an exciting day for some, and a dreadful day for others who do not make the cut. There's been some players rising up, some players falling down, even as of late this week, and we'll get into that a bit more as we look at the final camp practice. Today was a lighter day, I believe another 10-10-10 day where the team cycled through 10 offensive plays, 10 defensive plays, and 10 minutes of special teams, though to be honest, they probably should practice a little bit more than the others on special teams. Anyway, this is easier on the players physically with contact not being allowed, but still challenges them mentally as they quickly work through plays and installs. And for what it's worth, today's practice also started a bit earlier and was Military Appreciation Day. And with this being a non-contact day of practice, we did see a couple of guys working in there a bit more, with those being linebacker Nick Bolton, who, to be fair, has been back out in some capacity even during padded practices this week, but was wearing a yellow, non-contact, do not touch me jersey. Then safety Justin Reid was the next guy seen out there taking reps on the scout team as he ramps back up from his quad injury. That's an injury he sustained just before training camp even started, and that caused him to miss nearly all of camp. But thankfully, he did come off the NFL list earlier this week when he passed his physical. So that's a great sign for the defense, both Nick Bolton and Justin Reid back out there working and getting ramped up for hopefully the season opener against Baltimore. There isn't a lot of highlights from today, but Mahomes did throw this dot down the right sideline to Mecole Hardman for a touchdown, and Mecole will, in theory, be a guy called upon to work a little bit more here with Hollywood out. Mahomes spoke on the wide receiver room a bit today after practice as well, saying Hollywood's injury was definitely unfortunate, but he's glad it wasn't any worse than it actually was. Hollywood is a veteran in the room, and they will be missing that while he's out. Now, they just got to keep pushing the young guys to get better. Not all the guys in that room are young bucks, though. Justin Watson is another veteran outside of Mecole in the room, with Mahomes saying J-Watt is a guy that knows everything, can play all three positions, can block, can catch, can stretch the field deep, and work underneath also. He said he's a guy that's going to have to step up while Hollywood is out. Another guy that wide receiver coach Connor Embry said just yesterday that the team will lean more on from the jump compared to Rice's rookie year early on at least is Xavier Worthy. In fact, Mahomes said they called a play for him on the very first play of preseason, but pressure forced him to connect with Hollywood instead. And that sadly resulted in the injury. But he's ultimately got to take what's there, and defenses are going to account for Worthy's speed. Andy Reid also spoke about Worthy today, and when asked if he's going to try to play Xavier extra out there to get him some real-time reps in before the start of the regular season, Big Red said they're not going to force any extra playing time, but he does want Worthy to play. Then, when asked if there's a chance Worthy returns any punts this Saturday, after Dave Toub basically said yesterday it's not likely due to Hollywood Brown's injury and the offense needing more out of Worthy come the regular season, Andy actually said there's a chance, but then kind of looked at the media, smiled, and said a small chance, chuckling after he said that, which means that's not happening in your wildest dreams, pal. But back to the wide receiver room as a whole, because Mahomes said that with Hollywood out, he also wants to see more young guys get involved, players that haven't taken a ton of reps yet, and he specifically mentioned rookie tight end Jared Wiley, Justin Ross, and Skyy Moore. I found Skyy's name being thrown in there a bit interesting considering this is Skyy's third season, but hey, maybe we'll see more from Skyy this year once all is said and done. After all, it seems the team is pretty high on the guy. all things considered. I've shared about this in previous videos, but after Hollywood was injured, Skyy was the next guy in that preseason game. Earlier before that, when Justin Watson injured his foot, Skyy was the next guy seen working in with the first team offense at practice. But what do you guys make of the wide receiver room right now? It seems like most fans want Skyy out of there, and they want opportunities for maybe Nico Remigio, Justin Ross, even Kadarius Toney over Skyy. But again, the signs I just pointed out, it seems like the coaching staff is a bit higher on the guy, and he'll be sticking around and maybe even getting involved more this season. I mean, one can only hope if they're going to keep him around, he would get involved. However, is that smokescreen to hopefully set Skyy up for a trade, the coaching staff being high on him, or do you think they want to give Skyy one more season, considering they still have him on his rookie deal until the end of 2025? You aren't going to get much trade value out of Skyy if you do trade him, maybe a late round pick. And with Hollywood being injured, I don't personally think they trade Skyy off, but hey, at the end of the day, I'm on the outside looking in as a fan just like you guys and would love to hear your thoughts. And before we get into the rest of this video, did want to quickly plug my merch. Switched merch companies recently, better quality, faster shipping, customer service. Dad Bod season shirts are on there. They're the #1 seller, so get you one if you want, in honor of Mahomes with the Dad Bod chasing the three-peat. Next up, the players who were absent from practice today were as follows. Defensive end B.J. Thompson still remains on the NFI list and not present. Running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire has missed his 4th practice in a row now due to what's being labeled as an illness, but it's possibly a combo of more PTSD flare-ups and that cyclic vomiting syndrome he admitted to the media he's been struggling with. And honestly, I just kind of hope the guy is all right. He's missed maybe roughly half of training camp, maybe a bit less, but it's been due to this illness, the stuff he's been working through. Andy Reid did say today, though, that Clyde is getting better. He was feeling a bit better last night, so they're just keeping an eye on him, but Big Red noted he's in good hands with the team's training staff. Then, safety Brian Cook was once again excused as he awaits the birth of his child. Then you have both Hollywood Brown's shoulder/clavicle and offensive lineman McCade Matire, MCL, were both absent once again. Neither of those guys are a real surprise. McCade thankfully avoided the need for surgery. Thought they tore his ACL, but it's his MCL, won't need surgery. Yet we still don't know how long he's actually going to be out. Then Hollywood will be back around week 2 or week 3 of the regular season. And the last player who missed their first practice of training camp, from what I can recall, is right tackle Jawan Taylor. He actually tweaked his shoulder during yesterday's practice and left early in the front of the cart. And initially, this is how it normally goes when stuff like this happens, especially to starters. There was some concern about how serious this shoulder injury could be for Taylor. After practice yesterday, though, Adam Schefter reported that a source shared with him that the team is not overly concerned at this time, and Andy Reid seems to be of the same belief, which is great news. He was asked today during his presser after the conclusion of the final camp practice if he believed Jawan's injury would be a longer-term thing, and here's what he had to say.
No, but he won't go this weekend, but I think he's going to be okay.
So that's good. With more serious injuries popping up around the league during other teams' camps, the Chiefs, for the most part, have avoided any long-term injuries, from what I can recall off the top of my head. I think the most serious injury is Hollywood's, and that happened in a game, not at practice. Even with that, Hollywood is only going to miss maybe 2 or 3 games of the regular season. Anyway, there were also several players who were at practice today but didn't participate, with those being defensive tackle Chris Jones, shoulder, offensive tackle Wanye Morris, bone bruise on his knee, and wide receiver Jaron Hayek, also shoulder. Chris Jones's shoulder tweak, his stinger that happened last week, isn't believed to be a serious issue, and he should be good for the season opener against Baltimore. Wanye practiced Tuesday, I believe it was, but has since missed the last 2 days, and bone bruises are very painful. I've had one. They actually hurt bad. So I would imagine they're just giving him some time to heal up. Then Jaron Hayek has been out for a while now, and I still have no real status update on the concern level or the severity level of his shoulder. Then the next player to mention is running back Louis Rees-Zammit, who was out yesterday due to what was being labeled as a back issue. Well, that raised some eyebrows, with some even wondering if a mystery stash to injured reserve was coming to keep him safely tucked away on the team for a season. But at least for now, he seems to be okay and was spotted back out there working. There's a video here of him practicing kickoffs during special teams period today. So seems like a definite positive there. But again, this was a much lighter, non-padded practice today. So the real telltale sign about LRZ's back will be, does he play in Saturday's preseason game against Detroit or not? I currently, to be honest, don't have him making the 53-man roster at this point in time due to players like Carson Steele on the rise and the value that Steele could not only bring to the offense as a fullback, catching passes out of the backfield, all that stuff. We saw how he performed as a running back last week as well, breaking multiple tackles, but he could also contribute on special teams, maybe not as a returner like LRZ, though this is going to be something interesting to watch regarding LRZ. Will he make the roster or not? I'm fine to be wrong and hope LRZ balls out if that back is indeed fine in the last 2 preseason games. The reason why I don't have LRZ making the roster is I just think he needs more time. He would benefit greatly from a year on the practice squad. Then, after soaking all things Chiefs offense and just NFL in general up for an entire season, I would then love to see him get another go at the 53 next year. But what do you think at this point in time? Let me know either way in the comments. Next up, Andy Reid gave some info today to the media on how this Saturday's preseason game against Detroit should look. He said the starters will play the first half, then the rest during the second half. And that's historically not exactly how things are probably going to go down, with Mahomes most likely playing a couple drives, then getting out of there. But there will be several starters getting work in during the first half. The most playing time any starter will get this preseason, because some will not play at all during the third preseason game. Typically, that third game is a game where the backups play most of all of it. Cutdowns happen shortly after this game, so it's a great way to get one final look at everybody. And then many key starters, Mahomes, Kelce, Chris Jones, etc., won't even dress out. But for this Saturday, Carson Wentz may even get a series or 2 with the starters, though Andy Reid, of course, said, we'll see how it goes and play it by ear when he was asked about it. Big Red then said regarding Joe Thuney playing this Saturday, they aren't going to force anything and want to see how he feels after today's practice, and then he will let everyone know. He also doesn't think cornerback Jalen Watson will play just yet, as he ramps up from having his shoulder repaired in the offseason, and I imagine everyone else who didn't practice this week and several still being ramped up will also not play in this game. That's players like Nick Bolton, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, even though he could be fine if he's not dealing with the vomiting stuff going on. Then Brian Cook may not play. He might still be awaiting the birth of his child at this point in time, or at that point in time on Saturday. Then obviously Hollywood Brown, McCade Matire, Chris Jones, Wanya Morris, Jaron Hayek, and then we'll see about Louis Rees-Zammit. And this is a little random, but one question I do have is, when will we see a behind-the-back pass? Could it be in this coming preseason game? I feel like preseason would be a good opportunity to try it because it means nothing at the end of the day, but I seriously doubt it. Mahomes himself spoke about this pass today, the behind-the-back pass, and what Coach Reid's reaction to this was when he actually completed one in a live game type scenario during practice. And honestly, it seems like Big Red wants to see Mahomes do this in a game, and Mahomes is actually the hesitant one.
Once you're kind of having a good day, you have the freedom to kind of try stuff like that. Obviously, if stuff's not working out well, you don't have that opportunity. So it was cool that I completed it. And it's just you want to get it in like a live type atmosphere, and that's as live as you're going to get in practice. First thing he said is, I've been telling you to do that for a while. That's all he said. He's like that's one of the plays I've been telling you can do it. So he's all, I'm telling you, he's all for it. It's me, the one that's hesitant to do it in the game.
So yeah, I really hope we see that pass this year, please God. And I pray it's against the Raiders, because they are a very easy fan base to upset and they suck. Someone who has an absolute field day against that poverty team almost every single matchup is the GOAT, Travis Kelce. Mahomes complimented him today. Speaking very highly, saying his work ethic is remarkable, even entering year 12 or 13, whichever it is. He's out there every day at practice getting the reps, and even in practice gets upset when the coaches take him out. He doesn't even need the reps, but he loves it. He loves working, and his work ethic helps Mahomes push others, because he's just like, look at this Hall of Famer out here practicing harder than anybody. And hopefully Kelce balls out this season once again, and that only further helps push the guys around him to be great. And with that, I hope you enjoyed my training camp coverage this year. It was a lot of fun, and I've got plenty more Chiefs content coming, so stick around. And if you'd like to stay in the know about all things big picture NFL news, I've been doing videos like this, but for the entire NFL here on my other channel called Cole Breaks the Huddle. So give that a sub if you are interested. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?